Alright, I can start now. This is perfect.
Just relax your shovel, just relax. Just to get this fucking away.
Hello? We've been waiting. You look absolutely beautiful, and you don't look too bad yourself. Great. Well, before we actually do the ceremony itself, the vows, it'd be nice just to consider a few words from the Bible which really help with marriage, not just to get it off to a good start, but to maintain it, which is something that obviously you both want to do. Marriage is forever, as they say, and that's how Jehovah God views it as well. But it's interesting how he expresses it and how he talks about marriage in the Bible. And we'll just look at a few little points that you might all find interesting, actually. And the first one, we need to go back to the very beginning, to the book of Genesis. And I'm sure we're all familiar with the account of Adam and then Eve. And the Bible says that Adam was created by God. And then Eve was taken from Adam and given to him as his wife. And that account is recorded in the scriptures in very simple form. But it uses an interesting expression that I'd like to share with you if I can. And it's chapter 2 of Genesis and verse 18. And just listen to this. I know many of us perhaps have read this many, many times. It says, Jehovah said, "It's not good for the man to continue to be alone." He said, "I'm going to make a helper for him as a complement of him." And that's the word really, a complement of him. What did he mean when he said that? You know, I mean, if you look at Elisha and you say, "You've got beautiful eyes," which of course is true, but that's a compliment. But that's not what it said there. This is a compliment. There's one letter difference in the two words. So what does it mean to make someone a compliment for somebody else? How are we to understand that? Because understanding that really is the foundation to a solid, good, happy marriage. Just in that one word. I'll quote you to show you how highbrow I am from the Oxford Dictionary. And this is what it said about that word. It said each of the two items or people function or look better because they are together. That's the meaning of the word. Or it says they both contribute something that enhances or improves the overall effect. How about that? Isn't that a lovely way of expressing it? So that's what Jehovah God did when he gave Adam a wife. That's exactly how it was to work. They were to complement each other. And I don't know what would come to your mind. I tell you what came to mind. And some people think, well, a compliment is like strawberries and cream. Complement each other, which they do. But what came to my mind was wine and cheese. For some strange reason. And if you think, I'm not saying that one is wine and one is cheese, of course. It's not personal. But when you think of those two things, many of us like a glass of wine. And you can drink a glass of wine on its own. And if it's a good wine, it tastes very nice. And some of us love cheese, and if we eat a piece of cheese on its own, it's delicious. But how about if you put the two together and you match a glass of wine with a slice of cheese? Now that's something else. That completely changes everything. The wine tastes better because it complements the cheese, and the cheese tastes better because it complements the wine. The two together work so much better than individually. And that's really what Jehovah was saying when he initiated his very first marriage. Together, they're far better than separate. So that's a complement of each other. And just to understand that, what it really does is it helps us get a foundation for the marriage arrangement, which will put you in very good stead as your lives continue. So if we look at chapter 24 of that same chapter, Another expression is used here by Jehovah God. He said, that is why a man will leave his father and his mother, and he will stick to his wife. And this is the point, really. They will become one flesh. Well, if we just understood complement correctly, the two together combine to complement and enhance each other, that's like becoming one flesh. So together, you two together, as husband and wife, are like one person, one flesh. You're individuals in your own right, just as cheese and wine are individuals in their own right, but together, well, that's a different thing altogether. It brings out all the flavours, all the tastes of everything that's good. That's the definition, and that's how Jehovah God intended to use that word. And I just thought that set a lovely basis for marriage. It just puts it into a perspective. But again, using the analogy of those two things, if you went to someone's house and they gave you, so would you like a glass of wine? And of course, most people say yes these days, me included. And they gave it you in an old mug. You know, it might be a tremendously good wine, but would it take away something from it if they've served it in that way? It wouldn't it? Same with the cheese. If they give you cheese that's right out of the fridge and just in a piece of paper, it's the same cheese, but it doesn't really taste as good, although it's exactly the same. But how about if you took the trouble to get a fine glass, a fine wine glass, pour it in, make sure it's at the right temperature. Not that I've ever drunk wine before, I was told that this is and then the cheese, you make sure the cheese is just right, just starting to give that little pong, then you put it together, all of a sudden the whole experience changes. And again, with marriage, when you become one flesh, you do those little things, you make those little adjustments that just enhance marriage, enhance the pleasure of being married, of being together. And it doesn't take much. It's often just the little things that make a world of difference. And that's how Jehovah intended, really, that married people live their lives. And his final advice for you two today, embarking on a lifetime together. So, adjustments have to be made, because when two people get together, two people with different backgrounds, they have obviously a lot in common, but different people have to make adjustments, have to be tolerant and understanding of one another. And that's how it is. But of course, if you become one flesh, then you'd work together to accomplish that, wouldn't you? It wouldn't be a problem. It wouldn't be difficult if you feel that you complement each other. It works both ways. You bring out the best in each other. And of course, every marriage is like that. That's why nobody ever has an argument or anything, you know, because that's what they do. Because these things happen, we're imperfect, but isn't it a wonderful way to consider starting a marriage, starting married life, and going forward together? It certainly is. So these little things then, they make such a lot of difference. And they help us understand what's then Jehovah God says next to us. Because the Bible is a guidebook that will help us steer ourselves and our marriage through any difficulties that come along. Difficulties can come upon us from outside that we have nothing to do with. It can hit us. All this is, but God, he knows that, and so he gives us such good personal counsel and advice that will help us through any issue, any problem that ever arises in a marriage. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And he sets out a couple of precedents for that. And if I could just refer to another scripture, it's in this time, it's in the book of Ephesians. I can just find that. Written by the Apostle Paul many, many years ago, 2,000 odd years ago, but still the advice is as pertinent today as it was back then. Well, let's read it and see if we can agree on that. In verse 25 of that chapter, this is what is said specifically to you, Aaron. It says, husbands, well, you're not a husband yet because you haven't gone through the you will be soon. Husbands, continue loving your wives. But then he just adds the rider, tells you how to do it. Just as the Christ also loved the congregation and gave himself up for it. So Christ, he loved the congregation so much that he actually gave his life to protect it. And he's saying, husbands, love your wife like that. That's how you should be. That's the model. That's the thing, isn't it? How about that? So that's what he said. If you do that, your marriage will be successful. That's one of the golden rules, if you like. Love your wife in that way, just as Christ loved the congregation. But then in verses 28 and 29, just down a couple, it says again in the same way, referring again to Jesus and how he was. He said, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. A man who loves his wife loves himself. Well, of course, if you're one flesh, you can't only love half of it, can you? If you love your wife, you love yourself, because you're just one. And he said in verse 29, for no man ever hated his own body, but he feeds and cherishes it, just as Christ does the congregation. Again, simple words, but how true they are. So it's fine, simple, to the point counsel that's given us, that will help us to have a happy and successful marriage. But he doesn't leave wives out. And what he says here, in this 21st century, could perhaps be viewed as controversial by some. So we'll see what you think about this. This is what the Bible says. Verses 22 to 24. Wives. Let wives be in subjection to their husbands, as to the Lord. Then it says, because the husband is head of his wife, just as Christ is head of the congregation, he being a saviour of the body. How about that? So the wife should be in subjection to her husband. And that's not a very popular thing to say these days. People feel that they've been so badly treated over the years, women particularly, which they have, that they balk at that sort of thing. It's outdated, outmoded. But of course, if we think in the context of the word, the compliment, then you're complimenting each other. So somebody has to take the lead. Can you imagine if nobody ever took the lead in anything? It'd be a mess. Imagine being on a ship, on a cruise ship, on your holidays, and they say, oh, by the way, just to let you know, we'll introduce you to the 3 captains. Well, who's going to make the decision if it needs the ultimate decision? So they have one captain, because he makes that ultimate decision. It's the arrangement that works. And Jehovah's saying, that's how I've created you. I've made you to fulfill different roles. You're different. A woman is different to a man in every respect. That's what attracts. That's what's so nice about it. And for all the same, it'd be a bit boring, wouldn't it, really? So he then says, and if you act this way, this one flesh that you've created will really get the benefits from being together as husband and wife. So there's no demeaning, it's not demeaning to say that about the wife in any way at all. What Jehovah's saying is, that's your role. And to Aaron, that's your role. If you fulfill those roles, then success is sure to be yours. It's simple, really. It's not difficult, it is. And Jehovah addresses a lot in the scriptures about marriage, as we know about these things. So if we follow this, then it'll surely give us a happy marriage. In fact, it's quite interesting because it's easy to leave God, Jehovah God, out of a marriage. It's easy to do. We're so busy, we must be so distracted. We tend to go off our own hunches and think the way that we do and think we can solve these things. Well, often, referring to the scriptures just gives us that little key. Well, like a jigsaw. If you give a jigsaw puzzle, and it's a big puzzle, and you spend hours doing it, and you do it, but at the end of it, there's one piece missing. Just one piece. Frustrating, but it wouldn't alter it really. If you're making a jigsaw of a car or a house or whatever, you'd still know what it was. But if you showed anybody the jigsaw, what would be the first thing that they'd say? Where's the missing piece? And that's the same with a marriage. You can still see it's a marriage, you can still work and function, but that last piece is Jehovah's involvement in your marriage. And if you put that in, it's complete. Which, funnily enough, is a related to word to complement, to be complete. So to have Jehovah in the marriage as well will make you complete. It will be a strength to be reckoned with that nobody really can damage or break. What a protection that really is. And that's what Jehovah does. And then just as to show how he feels about the way that we are as married people, just one last verse. It's in Proverbs chapter 5. Read to you what it says. Simple expression. What a lovely expression. Proverbs chapter 5, and just the second part of verse 18, it is. Oh, chapter 5, verse 18. Yes. The second part of that verse, all it says is, and may you rejoice with a wife of your youth. I thought that's self-fitting, isn't it? May you rejoice with a wife of your youth. Wonderful thing to say. Rejoice, well, to be joyful, to be delighted, to be happy, to enjoy the state of marriage. That's what the scriptures are saying. And how can we do that? Well, have fun together for a start. Enjoy every minute of it. Because that's what will keep it alive. Talk a lot, but listen more. Simple things. Keep the flame burning. And always be kind and affectionate. Always. Whether we're talking together and you're 50 years older, but I still hear that, probably not. Just keep the affection alive. Always. Keep it fresh. Be happy in the married state. Because that's what Jehovah wants. Following what he asks us will keep you in that condition. Very, very blessed really are we to have such fine guidance. So that's interesting just to consider those few little points. There are many more, and I'm sure in truth you've hardly heard a word because it's a big nervous day for you, isn't it? But they're 5 points, and I'm sure they'll put you in good stead as you continue your life together and serving Jehovah. So now we actually come to the marriage itself. Well, just before we do the actual vows, we'll start. And would you both like to stand? And we'll go through these together. We'll work together on this. Right. Oh, thank you. Right, so what I'll do here, I'll ask you this long question, and then you answer as you wish. Do you, Aaron Thomas Alexander, in the presence of Jehovah God and these witnesses, take Elisha Ellen May Wilkins to be your wedded wife, to love and to cherish, in accordance with the divine law as outlined in the Holy Scriptures for Christian husbands, for as long as you both may live?
I do.
You have me sweating there. Okay, you too, Elisha. Right, let's turn to Elisha now. Exactly the same. Do you, Elisha Ellen May Wilkins, in the presence of Jehovah God and these witnesses, take Aaron Thomas Alexander to be your wedded husband, to love and to cherish and deeply respect, in accordance with the divine law as outlined in the Holy Scriptures for Christian wives, for as long as you both may live?
I do.
Okay. Is there anyone who gives this woman to this man?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, so now these are the actual marriage vows. Okay. So, to you first of all, Aaron. If you repeat after me, that'll be fine. If we get stuck, just go back. If I get stuck, we'll go back. I do solemnly declare
I do solemnly declare
that I know not of any lawful impediment
that I know not of any lawful impediment
why I, Aaron Thomas Alexander,
while I, Aaron Thomas Alexander,
may not be joined in matrimony
may not be joined in matrimony
to Elisha Ellen May Wilkins.
to Elisha Ellen May Wilkins.
Thank you. Okay, Elisha, it's your turn now. I do solemnly declare
I do solemnly declare
that I know not of any lawful impediment
that I know not of any lawful impediment
why I, Elisha Ellen May Wilkins,
why I, Elisha Ellen May Wilkins,
may not be joined in matrimony
may not be joined in matrimony
to Aaron Thomas Alexander.
to Aaron Thomas Alexander.
Right. Well done, well done. Okay. So now back to you, Aaron. I call upon these persons here present
I call upon these persons here present
to witness that I, Aaron Thomas Alexander,
to witness that I, Aaron Thomas Alexander,
do take thee, Elisha Ellen May Wilkins,
do take thee, Elisha Ellen May Wilkins,
to be my lawful wedded wife,
to be my lawful wedded wife,
to love and to cherish in accord with the divine law,
to love and to cherish in accord with the divine law,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures for Christian husbands,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures for Christian husbands,
for as long as we both shall live together on earth,
for as long as we both shall live together on earth,
according to God's marital arrangement.
according to God's marital arrangement.
Well done. Okay, Elisha. I call upon these persons here present
I call upon these persons here present
to witness that I, Elisha Ellen May Wilkins,
to witness that I, Elisha Ellen May Wilkins,
do take thee, Aaron Thomas Alexander,
do take thee, Aaron Thomas Alexander,
to be my lawful wedded husband,
to be my lawful wedded husband,
to love and to cherish and deeply respect,
to love and to cherish and to deeply respect,
in accordance with the divine law,
in accordance with the divine law,
as set out in the Holy Scriptures for Christian wives,
as set out in the Holy Scriptures for Christian wives,
for as long as we both shall live together on earth,
for as long as we both shall live together on earth,
according to God's marital arrangement.
according to God's marital arrangement.
I'm dreading asking this question. Are the rings? Yes? Would you like to... So these rings are an outward and visible sign signifying to all the uniting of this man and this woman in the bonds of matrimony. I think there's been a mishap. Just after it, nothing else.
Don't recognise one of these rings.
Right. We'll explain later.
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit. It doesn't.
That's the wrong hand.
That looks perfect to me. Okay. We'll explain, yes. Don't worry. Now, for as much as Aaron Thomas Alexander and Elisha Ellen May Wilkins have commented before Jehovah God and these witnesses to accept each other in wedlock, I, as an ordained minister, and by the authority conferred upon me by the Holy Scriptures, and in the presence of a duly authorised representative of the state, pronounce that they are husband and wife together. What God has yoked together, let no man put apart. So shall we ask a blessing?
That's it.
Aaron and Elisha have asked me to say a few words, and I really appreciate them doing that. I've written it down so I don't forget. Welcome friends and family to this celebration of Aaron and Elisha's wedding. I thank you all sincerely for coming along to share in this happy day for all of us. For those of you who are wondering who I am, apart from the gentleman who's just announced me, I'm Baz, I'm Elisha's stepdad. I was very fortunate to marry Alison as Elisha's mum just last year. Well, I've been helping her to raise Elisha for 15 years now. I can honestly say it has been a pleasure, yeah, it really has. That doesn't mean it hasn't been challenging at times. Blending two families is always going to mean that. But my overwhelming memories are of smiles and laughter, mainly at my expense, but that's what I'm here for. My earliest memories of Elisha are of a sweet, pretty little 8-year-old girl with a faraway look in her eyes and a semi-permanent green 11 between her nose and her top lip. I think she's learned to manage that at this point, but that's Aaron's problem there anyway. I've had the honour, I've had the honour to watch her grow from that shy little girl who wouldn't leave her mum's side into the confident, funny, beautiful bride we see here today. I can confidently say that Elisha is my favourite stepdaughter. And although it would be hard to let her go, we'll desperately miss having her in the house. It would be nice to finally get that skip and clear her bedroom and bathroom out. Aaron, that's on you now too. There's a pattern forming here. Aaron we've known for about 7 years now, and he's shown himself to be a lovely, kind, caring young man with a good heart, a dry sense of humour, and crucially, a deep love for Elisha. He's obviously the product of excellent parenting, and we thank Andrew and Tina for that. We're happy to welcome him formally into the family. I'm not sure he fully appreciates quite what that means. But we'll be gentle.
I want to thank everybody on behalf of the Elisha for coming and joining us today. Family has been invited because we had no choice. Those friends are the ones here that have shown us great hospitality and friendship. It's a privilege to have you all here to join us. It's already been said now. I want to thank Elisha's mum for the special day already, organising everything. Joe as well, Patrick's mum, she's not here. She's been amazing. Andy felt the most important part of the day. And Adrian as well for the special as well. Let's get emotional now.
I've got the tissue, it's okay.
That's really cool. So, today's been a bit different because I haven't had a best man. Not that I haven't got many friends. Well, at least should my best friend. We just go on. I don't think the drinks this or not. I've got down basically we've been a team, best of friends for the last 6 years. Pretty much quarter of my life. I can't remember what it was like before I met you. I can't remember what it was like before I met you, I just know I've been happy since. I did, but I've only been 2 times. I can't be being happy with 3 now. So first of all was when you got baptised, and that was the proudest moment of all. Second, when you made that scrapbook. I don't have to laugh or cry. Second, when you made me that scrapbook of all the things I'm today, so I'm not usually the type to get emotional as bad, so I've got a dry sense of humour. And those that know me will know that it's a rarity that famous one. I'm happy today, happy to be with you. And today hasn't been so bad actually. So I just wanted to thank you for making me so happy. I don't think I could ever repay you. I promise to look after you. I'm trying to give you some good time. It's been a good 6 years so far, and it's only the start. I'm happy life to go. And there's no one else would rather spend it with.
Past 6 years flown by, and they say that time flies when you're having fun. So I'm not really sure why it goes so fast. But I can't wait to spend time with you. And I'm not very good at expressing my feelings, but you can always say that. And that's it, because I didn't know how to conclude it, so I just left it.